lawmakers have approved a landmark ban on social media for children under 16 in some of the world's toughest such controls. The United Kingdom and Iraq sign a landmark deal to strengthen border security. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper describes the deal as a landmark moment that will tackle small boat crossings at source and help the pledge to smash the gangs. Bangladesh High Court has declined to issue a suo motu order banning ISKCON's activities in the country. The decision coming despite a petition by a Supreme Court lawyer and calls from student groups for such action in the wake of clashes that erupted after denial of bail to the organization's former priest, Chinmoy Krishnadas Brahmachari. Pakistani police have leveled multiple charges against imprisoned former Premier Imran Khan, his wife and others for inciting people to violence following days of protests and clashes in which at least 6 people were killed and scores more injured. Canada is already examining possible retaliatory tariffs on certain items from the United States should President-elect Donald Trump follow through on his threat to impose sweeping tariffs on Canadian products. And the United States will allow liver and kidney transplants between people with HIV. Transplants from HIV patients were banned except in clinical trials, but a recent study has confirmed that there were no significant differences between receiving a kidney from a donor with HIV versus one without. Well, a big focus at the moment. The Israeli military announced its air force targeted a Hezbollah facility in southern Lebanon used for storing mid-range rockets. Now, this strike came after both sides accused each other of violating a ceasefire aimed at ending more than a year of fighting. Israel also reported firing on vehicles it deemed suspicious in the southern region, accusing them of breaching the truce with the Iran-backed Hezbollah, which had been in effect since Wednesday, as we had been reporting. But the exchange of accusations has highlighted the fragility of this ceasefire, which was brokered by the United States and France to end the conflict, fought in parallel with the Gaza war. The truce lasts for 60 days in the hopes of reaching a permanent cessation of hostilities. But despite the tensions, Hezbollah's backer Iran doesn't want the conflict to escalate anytime soon, is what analysts are arguing. In fact, Tehran has taken a more conciliatory tone in recent weeks, driven in part by the unpredictability associated with Donald Trump's return to power. We have a reaction from Benjamin Netanyahu. Listen in.
אתמול הרגנו 5 אנשי חיזבאללה, שווינו 4, היום תקפנו עוד. אין אצלנו חוכמות. אנחנו אוכפים בעוצמה. אבל אם צריך, אני נתתי דירקטיבה לצה"ל. תהיו ערוכים, במקרה שיש הפרה של המתווה הזה, של הפסקת האש, למלחמה עצימה.
Mohammad Ghazali has been tracking all the finer details. He joins us live at the moment. Ghazali, these accusations, are they being seen as a sign that this ceasefire is a respite and not a solution for peace in the Middle East?
As you rightly pointed out, all the stakeholders who brokered this ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah know that it was just a temporary truce. And both the parties are accusing each other of violating the ceasefire. And there is utter confusion for the citizens of Lebanon who were from the southern region, because the moment ceasefire was announced, lots of these southern residents started moving towards the south. But when they reached near their homes, near their residences in the southern territory of Lebanon, they found the Israeli army there who were announcing on loudspeakers for these residents not to return, saying that they still have time to vacate, and they have noticed or found the presence of Hezbollah fighters there. And they started firing or attacking in that region. And they also killed around 2 people there yesterday. Now, that the Lebanese prime minister had asked people to return, that the ceasefire has been achieved, it has been implemented, and people can return. And on the other side, the Israeli army announcing them not to return. So utter confusion for them. And both the parties, both Hezbollah and Israeli army, are accusing each other of violating the rules of the ceasefire. But this certainly shows that the ceasefire can't be sort of can't stay for very long until the implementation is done in a very genuine way. And all these stakeholders like US, France, UNIFIL, and other Western alliance partners of Israel ensures that they deoccupy the territory. Because one term of this ceasefire is that Israel can remain in that territory for 60 days, or in other words, they have 60 days to deoccupy the land. And that is exactly what Israel is taking advantage of, is what the Hezbollah or the Lebanese government is accusing them of.
As always, Ghazali, thank you so much for taking us through the details. In other crucial news, the United Kingdom and Iraq have signed a landmark deal to strengthen border security. In fact, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper describes the deal as a landmark moment that will tackle small boat crossings at source and also help the pledge to smash the gangs. The Home Office said smuggling networks operating out of Iraq, including the Kurdistan region of Iraq and Europe, have been responsible for trafficking thousands of people across the globe, including across the Channel to the UK, which has been undermining border security and also putting lives at risk. But this move marks a shift in the UK government's approach to tackling irregular migration, is what the UK Home Department argues. And a quick update from the neighborhood now. Violent protests and clashes following the arrest of Chinmoy Das, a Hindu monk and leader of a minority rights group, have exposed the fragile law and order situation in Bangladesh. The unrest sparked by the arrest and resulting in the death of a lawyer at a Chittagong court was led by thousands from the Sanatani Hindus group. And their main demand is that the interim government, which is led by Muhammad Yunus, ensure the safety of the country's 20 million religious minorities. This includes Christians and Buddhists along with Hindus as well. They have faced attacks from majoritarian mobs, is what people argue, and over 2,000 instances of violence have been documented, with at least 9 minority members killed, often in protests targeting supporters of Sheikh Hasina's Awami League party, though there is a clear communal aspect as well. But Chinmoy Das, associated with the Bangladesh chapter of ISKCON, presented an 8-point list of demands, including swift trials for cases of minority persecution, the creation of a minority protection law, and a ministry for minority affairs and 5-day public holidays for Durga Puja. Despite this, the government there has not responded, although Professor Yunus has met with minority representatives and visited the Dhakeshwari temple as well. For a quick update from Ground Zero, we have with us senior journalist from TRT, Mohammad Kamruzaman. Thanks so much for joining us live from Dhaka. Now, some analysts argue that it appears that the Bangladeshi authorities have been granted broad powers to suppress protests, even those that are peaceful and lawful. But take us through what's the current state of affairs across Bangladesh. Is it still very tense?
Actually, the situation is a little bit normal now. The tense is now prevailing regarding the brutal murder of the young lawyer. And you know that already more than 15 people have been arrested, verifying the video footage, and the lawyer who was murdered on broad daylight. So after examining the CCTV footage, police arrested those persons. So investigation is under process. And regarding the safety, security of the minority Hindu people, the government has already stated that they are serious regarding the safety, security of all people. Actually, the controversy raises due to the protest of the supporters of Chinmoy, and for the last couple of days, there are some video clips that were viral on social media where the supporters of Chinmoy Krishna Das Brahmachari and ISKCON seen they are consulting with the supporters, keeping some weapons just behind them. So among the people, there is confusion whether this organization is doing their activities only on religious basis, or they are doing politics here and supporting the ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. That's why actually there are anger among the opponents of this Hindu leader. So based on this, there is tension now. So we are expecting that after investigation, everything will be clear, and ISKCON must clarify that This is merely a religious and spiritual organization, and they have no intention to interfere in internal politics of this
Certainly.
country.
Also then, would you say with these latest developments, Bangladesh-India ties have plunged? What's the word on the ground?
Actually, I want to say very straightforwardly that India must recognize Bangladesh as a very friendly country, neighboring country, and Bangladesh is an independent country. So, you remember that Ubaidul Qadir, the second man of the ousted Awami League government, in public meeting, in public address, said clearly that if Awami League falls, it means that at least 500,000 people will be brutally murdered. He said this because there were many incidents of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances. But after the fall of Sheikh Hasina on August 5, there is no that type of violence. Actually, there were many political violence, and some Hindu people were also the victims of that political violence.
Right.
But it should not be leveled as torturing on minority. But we're expecting that if law enforcers perform their duty properly and the seriousness that expressed by the advisors and the other officials of the interim government goes on in a peaceful way, everything will be cool and peaceful environment will be restored.
Well, thank you so much, Mohammad Kamruzaman, as always, for joining us with the latest from Dhaka. We will, of course, revert to you for regular updates, and here's sincerely hoping peace is restored there. By the way, British Conservative MP Bob Blackman has strongly raised the issue of atrocities against Hindus and the arrest of ISKCON priest Chinmoy Krishnadas Brahmachari, and said it is unacceptable that religious minorities are persecuted in this way. In other crucial news, Australia has become the first country to ban social media for under 16s. Australia just voted into law a social media ban for children under the age of 16. Now, this legislation was approved by Australian lawmakers with the aim of protecting the mental health of children online, despite opposition from tech companies who claim that the rules are unworkable. This ban aims to address the impact of social media use on children's physical and mental health, affecting social media platforms including X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and Reddit. But here's a caveat. YouTube is not included in this. This new law, set to take effect in 12 months, will give social media companies time to comply with the new requirements, including taking reasonable steps to prevent children under a certain age from creating accounts as well. Now, while children and their parents won't face penalties for breaking these rules, the responsibility will fall on the platform providers. While the law doesn't specify which platforms it targets, it's expected to apply to major sites like Facebook, as I mentioned, Instagram, Snapchat and TikTok, according to the Prime Minister as well. Educational sites like YouTube and messaging apps like WhatsApp will be exempt, but here's the fine print. The law does not detail how tech companies will enforce these age restrictions, but those that fail to comply could face fines up to 50 million AUD, that's around 32.4 million US dollars. It also doesn't require users to upload government IDs for age verification. And I must also inform you, and you must keep in mind, that a recent YouGov survey found that 77% of Australians actually support this new measure. And similar proposals to increase age limits on social media are also being considered in places like Norway and Florida. But for the latest and ground report from Australia, let's go across to Professor Amanda Third, who joins us at the moment. She's actually a research fellow and co-director at the Young and Resilient Research Centre. Thanks so much, Amanda, for making time for us on NDTV. Really appreciate your time. What are the initial reactions to this new law? We're actually hearing the critics are warning of unintended consequences, including potential harm to vulnerable young people who rely on social media for community and support. But is this being hailed as a landmark law?
So it is indeed being hailed by the government as a world-first piece of legislation, but I think it's really important that international audiences understand that this really is a piece of legislation that is motivated by local, domestic, political and economic interests, and arguably has not had children and young people at the heart of its design. It's been pushed through incredibly quickly without proper consultation, either with the large expert community here in Australia or with the children and young people who will be impacted by this new legislation. It is very much, I think, about getting parents on board and garnering votes for the upcoming federal election.
Would you then say that this is actually not going to help under 16s? Is it not going to help the cause of physical and mental sort of shielding the youth?
Yes, as the expert community has been saying very loudly from the outset, we believe that there are much better ways to ensure that we can protect children's and young people's mental health online,
Right.
And to hold technology platforms to account for their responsibilities, not just to children and young people, but also to their families. I think, by evicting children from social media, we actually remove all impetus for holding technology companies to account for their responsibilities. We let them off the hook, essentially. We're much better pursuing much more fine-grained regulatory instruments like a statutory duty of care, which has also been proposed by the government, and a children's privacy code, another piece of legislation that's been endorsed by the government overnight. Unfortunately, though, the proposed ban, or the legislated ban, I should say, if it does come into effect in 12 months' time, will be
Right, we seem to have lost Professor Third there. But as Professor was arguing, this law that's being introduced in Australia within the next 12 months, it doesn't have children at the heart of its design, which is a concern that many critics have highlighted. But that was Professor Amanda Third on Australia's world first ban. With that, let's turn our attention to the neighborhood and get you the latest from Pakistan. Police have levelled multiple charges against imprisoned former Premier Imran Khan, his wife and others for inciting people to violence following days of protests and clashes in which at least 6 people were killed and scores more were injured. Mr. Khan's wife, Bushra Bibi, led thousands of people from the country's northwest to march on the capital, Islamabad, to demand the release of Imran Khan, who has been behind bars since August 2023. As you know, Imran Khan already has more than 150 cases against him, but supporters say they are all politically motivated. Well, switching tracks, Iran has notified the UN nuclear watchdog that it intends to install over 6,000 additional uranium-enriching centrifuges at its enrichment plants and activate more of those already in place, according to a confidential report from the International Atomic Energy Agency that's just released. Now, this IAEA report, Reuters is reporting, outlines Iran's response to a recent resolution that's been passed by the agency's 35-nation Board of Governors. And the resolution, which was backed by Britain, France, Germany, and the United States, has called for action against Iran. Well, news and updates continue right here in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Cashback has no करते नहीं impress Life हुई easy कितना कुछ free Only with single ID ये भी free वो भी free कितना कुछ free Only with single ID Get it free with single ID कितने सारे apps हैं मुझसे जुड़े Brands मेरे पास है सबसे बड़े Get it, only with single ID
any single ID partner app. Link your card and earn rewards with top brand.
Get it free with single ID.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the state of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con. NDTV initiative.
Welcome back. Russia's leader Vladimir Putin has threatened to target Kyiv's decision-making centers with its new ballistic missile and also said that Russia would use all weapons at its disposal against Ukraine if Kyiv were to acquire nuclear arms. The Russian president has said that Russia struck Ukraine with 90 missiles and 100 drones overnight in response to Ukraine's attacks with the UK and US weapons last week. But Ukraine's president, meanwhile, has called the attack a vile escalation, adding that cluster munitions were used specifically against civilian infrastructure. In other news, Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Mohan Yadav is now on a visit to Germany after his touchdown in the United Kingdom. He was given a grand welcome in Munich, where he said he wants a new kind of partnership with Germany, a partnership that is not limited to just trade. Listen in.
Joining us today in Munich is the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mohan Yadav, who is in Germany for 2 days. He's visiting the south of Germany. Welcome to Munich, sir. सर हमारी जानकारी के अनुसार आज आपने इन्वेस्ट मध्य प्रदेश इवेंट करा है. आप यहाँ पे बवेरियन स्टेट के मिनिस्टर्स, चेंबर ऑफ कॉमर्स, बिजनेसेस सबसे मिले हैं. क्या उम्मीद लग रही है, किस तरह का निवेश आप देखना चाहेंगे, कौन से सेक्टर्स हैं जहाँ पे आप निवेश देखना चाहेंगे मध्य प्रदेश के अंदर?
मैं सवे बवेरियन स्टेट के मिनिस्टर से मिला था और उनने भी इस बात के लिए प्रसन्नता जाहिर की कि अब हमारे लिए जर्मन की वर्तमान की स्थितियों में मध्य प्रदेश के साथ जुड़ने में, भारत के साथ जुड़ने में उनको और प्रगति दिखाई दे रही है. रूस यूक्रेन युद्ध के बाद से और कई कारण से टेक्नोलॉजी बदली है। व्हीकल में इंजन के बजाय एवी जो चलने वाले हैं इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल के कारण से अब ये जो बदलाव आया है, तो वो मध्य प्रदेश की और भारत की तरफ देख रहे हैं। और उन्होंने ऐसे कई सेक्टर में, सर्विस सेक्टर की बात भी कही है कि आप सर्विस सेक्टर में भी हम हेल्प कर सकते हैं, हेल्थ है, एजुकेशन है, ऐसे बहुत सारे सेक्टर में। और हमने फिर अलग अलग तरह से ऐसे हर एक प्लेटफॉर्म का उपयोग किया है। जैसा आपने कहा, चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स से लगा करके मैं कोई इंडस्ट्रियों के अंदर भी गया हूँ, जहाँ मिल करके देख करके आया। और कई नवाचार करने वाले मित्रों से मिला जिनके पास में टेक्निक तो है लेकिन उनको इन्वेस्टर भी चाहिए, तो हमने उनको इन्वेस्टर उपलब्ध कराने की बात कही है। हर तरह से मध्य प्रदेश के अंदर हर युवाओं को काम मिले, देश के अंदर का मान सम्मान बढ़े। यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री के नेतृत्व में मध्य प्रदेश देश के अंदर नंबर 1 की स्थिति में आए, हम लगातार प्रयास कर रहे हैं।
Thank you for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll keep tracking the latest updates for you. Do stay tuned.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps.
And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
This week on India Ascends.
India-Bangladesh ties amid UNIS government's crackdown on Hindus' ISKCON. Nepal's Prime Minister shatters China's debt trap. Why nations are shunning the BRI. Team Trump's economic plan decoded. And Saudi Arabia's Faisal Hamza decodes the next phase of New Delhi-Riyadh partnership and the IMEC project.
All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Ascends.
A very good morning. You're watching The Breakfast Show on NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadva. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including that inconclusive meeting, that late-night meeting that took place at Amit Shah's residence, and the suspense that continues as far as who will be the Chief Minister of the state of Maharashtra. That and a whole lot more on The Breakfast Show. First, the headlines. Mahayuti leaders met with Amit Shah late last night, but an inconclusive meeting there. So another meeting will be held now in Mumbai, is what Eknath Shinde has said. An unhealthy head troubles Delhi, the NCR region, and because of the air quality here in the national capital, Grab 4 measures will remain in place up until the 2nd of December. Ex-Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister rejects the bribery charges, and that's Jagan Mohan Reddy there rejecting those allegations that the Adani Group had paid him bribes to government officials in order to seal a solar power purchase deal during his tenure as the Chief Minister. So Jagan Mohan Reddy there saying incentives were never offered to me by anyone, nor can anyone dare to do so. And now he is going ahead and planning to file a 100 crore rupees defamation suit. Australia passes a landmark order banning social media for children under 16. The Australian Prime Minister says that this ban will reduce harm on young Australians and will lead the way for better results. Israel strikes Hezbollah facility in Lebanon a day after ceasefire began. Both sides are now accusing each other of a breach of the terms of the ceasefire. Let's get to your top story, and that's in regard to the suspense that continues as to who will be the Chief Minister of the state of Maharashtra. There was a late-night meeting that took place at Amit Shah's residence here in the national capital, but that remains inconclusive. And from what we're hearing is that Eknath Shinde has gone on to say there will be another meeting, and that meeting is going to take place now in Mumbai. So that one Chief Minister and two Deputy Chief Minister formula is expected to continue, the BJP to retain the Home Department, and the NCP to get a finance portfolio. As far as the Sena is concerned, the Sena will be getting the urban development and PWD, while Sena and the NCP are demanding one cabinet berth. And of course, the NCP also wants Praful Patel to be part of the centre. Do remember that Praful Patel was part of that meeting that took place at Amit Shah's residence. And the BJP to appoint observers to visit Mumbai. Mumbai is where that crucial meeting will be taking place, and we were expecting that announcement to come about, but that hasn't happened yet. So will the BJP be getting those 22 berths in the cabinet, including the Chief Minister? That is what we are hearing now. The two Deputy Chief Minister formula, that will continue, and the BJP likely to retain Home. The NCP may get finance, and the Sena to get urban development. Those are the developments that we are hearing of at the moment. Let's just go across to my colleague Radhika, who's joining us. Radhika, no decision yet, and of course another meeting that Eknath Shinde has spoken of, and that's going to take place in Mumbai. What is it that you're hearing from your sources?
That's right. A meeting with Amit Shah, of course, concluded last night, after which all the three leaders are back to Mumbai, and there is another Mahayuti meeting that is set to take place before Chief Minister's name is announced. In most likelihood, it will be a leader from the BJP, and Devendra Fadnavis, of course, being the front runner. But power sharing formula was discussed, and what we are hearing is that the two Deputy Chief Minister formula to continue. Not entirely sure if Eknath Shinde will accept that particular offer. BJP is likely to retain Home Ministry, NCP likely to get finance, and Sena to get urban development as well as PWD is the information that we're getting. As far as berth allocation is concerned, BJP likely to get 22 berths, including that of Chief Minister, as BJP got the maximum number of seats, and Sena to get 12 and NCP 9 is the information we are getting. And both Sena and NCP demanding at least one berth each in Union Cabinet. So Praful Patel's name was in fact recommended by NCP. They want him to be a part of the centre. And Sena also recommending names for being part of the centre. Now, BJP is also expected to appoint observers to visit Mumbai. Of course, BJP's legislative party meeting is pending. That is also set to take place in the next couple of days. So, BJP top leaders will be addressing all the winning MLAs as well. So, yes, another meeting of Mahayuti is set to take place in Mumbai before the big announcement of Chief Minister's name. This crucial meeting with Amit Shah concluding, pass sharing formula discussed, the tentative formula has been discussed, Chief Minister's name has also been discussed. It will be announced once the leaders arrive in Mumbai and once the leaders meet once again and have this meeting before the announcement of the big name.
Right, Radhika. So, of course, the suspense that continues, and the big question being, why is there such a huge delay in announcing the face of the chief minister, considering that Eknath Shinde has gone on to say that he won't be an obstacle and that he will go ahead with whatever decision that the prime minister takes. And of course, meetings on meetings. Of course, JP Nadda met with Prime Minister Modi yesterday. That meeting, as far as at Amit Shah's residence, with all the top leaders of the Mahayuti present at the meeting, including Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde as well as Ajit Pawar. Now, the big question remains as to who all will be there at that meeting that's going to be taking place in Mumbai, and when is that meeting expected? Let's just go across to Ishika, who's joining us from outside Amit Shah's residence. Ishika, that meeting that started late last night at about 9 o'clock at here in the national capital. Take us through what is it that you're hearing was the outcome of that meeting. We do know that there's been no conclusion, there's been no announcement since, but Eknath Shinde has gone on to say that there will be another meeting, and of course we know that meeting is not going to take place here in the national capital. But what really happened here?
Well, Divya, in fact, we come to you from Amit Shah's residence, where, in fact, it was the epicenter, yesterday night, when, in fact, the very crucial meeting of the Mahayuti alliance was taken place with Amit Shah. Now, in fact, as you rightly mentioned, the meeting started very late. It started at around 11 p.m. in the night, and what, in fact, what we saw was that, the Amit Shah and JP Nadda first had a meeting with Eknath Shinde that lasted, in fact, around 2 hours, after which Ajit Pawar, Devendra Fadnavis and then Eknath Shinde all met with, in fact, Amit Shah and JP Nadda. Now, in fact, we also saw, Divya, the pictures that came out of there, where certainly smile was missing from a caretaker chief minister's face. And in fact, it does suggest that it was basically because of the less negotiating power that he has as per the numbers that he has gotten in the Maharashtra elections. But in fact, as my colleague, Radhika was also pointing it out, yesterday after the meeting happened, Eknath Shinde did tell us that today another meeting of the Mahayuti alliance is set to happen in Mumbai, and after that meeting happens, then another set of meeting will happen in Delhi. So yesterday, while we were thinking that it was the final round of discussion before the announcement of the chief minister, well, that certainly isn't going to happen. There are set of another meetings, one today and then again another one in Delhi that will happen, after which the announcement is going to happen. So far, if we talk about as to how many cabinet berths will be going to the alliance partners and how many will be with the BJP, well, as my colleague was also pointing it out, a tentative plan has been shared. It is in fact almost clear that the chief minister is going to be from the BJP. Well, will it be Devendra Fadnavis? Well, certainly the sources in the BJP tell us that there could be a possibility of a surprise as well. So certainly two very important meetings that also was decided to take place in yesterday's meeting is set to happen, one today and one after that, and only then will the announcement happen. Because remember, the BJP is also going to send its observers to Maharashtra to talk to all of its MLAs before making this huge announcement. So certainly all eyes will be on that. Over to you.
Right, of course, the suspense that continues, and we also have Anuj joining us. Anuj, has Eknath Shinde met with Amit Shah separately ahead of that meeting of the Mahayuti coalition? And, he went on to say that Ladka Bhau is a designation that's higher than anything else for me. Obviously, it is Eknath Shinde that seems to, he's gone on to say he's not an obstacle, but, considering that the BJP pick is what, the consensus is, it seems to be that the appeasement of Eknath Shinde is what is really causing the delay here.
Even after Eknath Shinde pulling himself out of the race for chief ministership, things haven't really become as easy as one would have thought, because that has led to Eknath Shinde growing his demands when it comes to making some really strong claims for certain portfolios which the Bharatiya Janata Party has never really let go of. And a primary one in that is Home Ministry. Now, if you remember that since the first BJP government was formed in the recent times, that is in 2014, till 2024, whenever the BJP has been in any sort of power, either with their chief minister or with their deputy chief minister, the BJP and especially Devendra Fadnavis has never let go of the Home Ministry. And what we are learning is that that is one of the important portfolios, and that is one of the primary portfolios that Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena is after. While we are also learning that central ministerial berths have been promised to Eknath Shinde, and also one to NCP Ajit Pawar faction. But it is the Home Ministry and the Guardian Ministership, in certain numbers, that is going to eventually determine how satisfied Eknath Shinde is by the end of this decision. While one thing has become clear is that the Bharatiya Janata Party is going to have its own chief minister, but is it Devendra Fadnavis? That is yet to be known officially, although he still remains the front runner for that. But the BJP style of functioning doesn't really involve a decision to be taken from Delhi overnight. It is always it is always seen that there is a team of observers which is sent, even though it might just be a formality, but then they are sent to the state where they interact with the local body, the local machinery, and of course the newly elected MLAs before making any sort of decision. Now, Devendra Fadnavis has been the unofficial face of the Bharatiya Janata Party for the longest period of time. So there is very little doubt over, the kind of support that he would receive from the party, unless there is something else that the BJP internal machinery is looking at, or they have a different plan for the, for the former chief minister of the state, that is Devendra Fadnavis. But when you talk about Eknath Shinde, yes, he is, he will be trying to push more when it comes to the negotiating powers, especially after having pulled himself out of that race for chief ministership. But what we're learning is that the central ministry and a couple other important ministerial berths here in the state is not enough for the BJP to satisfy Eknath Shinde as of now. But how far will they go when it comes to giving him the leeway when it comes to the Home Ministry, which is considered to be the most crucial portfolio in the state, and of course at the centre too. It remains to be seen. But we are expecting another round of meeting to take place in Mumbai in the next few hours, in the next couple of days, most probably, where the discussions will continue from what was discussed yesterday with the Home Minister Amit Shah. Then those discussions will continue at a much local level, and and the future distribution of portfolios will also be taken into consideration.
Right. Thank you so much, Anuj, for joining us with all those details. All eyes on Maharashtra and the announcement that is expected after that meeting that's expected today in Mumbai. Thank you so much for joining us. Moving on now to more news. And let's get to the latest as far as Delhi's pollution is concerned, and coming in at 332 points this morning in the very poor category. But there are certain pockets of Delhi where the pollution is in the severe category above 400 points, particularly in Bhavana. Mundka coming just right on the heels at 399 points. But let's just also talk about what the Supreme Court has gone on to say in regard to the measures that are in place as far as GRAB4 restrictions are concerned, and that will continue till about the 2nd of December. That is because of these implementation as far as the GRAB4 measures are concerned in order to address the severe problem of air pollution in the national capital. So up until the 2nd of December, that is the coming Monday, measures that they propose to take against the breaches which have been specifically pointed out by the court commissioners. The immediate issue which needs to be addressed is that the trucks are allowed to enter the limits of Delhi, and then after traveling some distance, they are taking a U-turn. They make that that U-turn from where they have arrived. So this issue also needs to be addressed, is what the court has gone on to say. So the court there cracking its whip in regard to the measures that need to be enforced and implemented thoroughly and properly. And we have my colleague Shreya joining us. Shreya, it looked very hazy this morning. Visibility was badly impacted while driving to work. What's the situation on the ground, and what does the forecast really say? And take us through what are the measures in place in regard to, especially that leniency that was given, especially with to people with disabilities.
Well, Divya, this entire week we saw the AQI hovering around 200 to 300. Of course, in the very unhealthy category, the AQI has been today as well. The AQI is in the very poor category. Although the sun is out, there is no escape from the toxic grey haze that you can see right here at the Akshardham temple area. The air is completely engulfed in this smog. And of course, you were talking about the measures. We know that the Supreme Court has said that the GRAP 4, the strictest anti-pollution measures under GRAP 4 will remain in operation till the coming Monday, except for in schools where a hybrid mode of education is going on. Several offices have announced work from home system, but schools will remain in both online and offline mode. Some of the schools have reopened physical classes because the question remains, will young children remain more healthy at home, or is it like just a excuse? The whole hybrid mode or online mode is just a way for the institution to shrink away from responsibility, because in several government schools we've seen online classes mean no classes at all. So that is why this hybrid mode of education is definitely posing a sustainable solution for students and children from various socioeconomic background. And we also know that the Supreme Court has said that the stubble burning cases are on the rise, and the several farmers are altering their burning schedule as per the satellite detection. So they're doing it post 4 p.m. after the satellite detection. So that is something the Supreme Court has highlighted. And apart from that, the Commission for Equality Management has been directed by the Supreme Court to decide whether the GRAP measures will be eased, will be moved from GRAP 2 to GRAP 3 from GRAP 4. But right now, till coming Monday, the GRAP measures will remain in place. And it is worth noting that following our NDTV story on how the GRAP measures are exclusionary towards people with disability, the Commission for Equality Management has issued a notice stating the exemption for people with disability. They can go on and use the adapted vehicles, even if those are BS3, BS4 vehicles, which are ideally banned for people in general. But if for personal use of people with disabilities, it is allowed despite the GRAP 4 measures in place. So this is definitely a silver lining for people with disability, considering how inaccessible the public transportation is in the national capital for them. And till coming Monday, we know that there is complete ban on construction activities, as well as the entry of trucks from neighboring states and the other measures that fall under the GRAP 4 measures. Back to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Shreya, for joining us with all those details. And of course, it is the Supreme Court that came down heavily on the Delhi police for poor implementation of GRAP 4 regulations.